to go through it word by word.
Yeah. Hey, Peter, how are you?
All right, are these some?
Yeah, yeah.
Can I put them out there?
I think that's for the,
Sure they're not the mem, oh wait, no, you can't have this.
All right,
that's for Jonathan, if he's coming.
that's the agenda, right?
Yeah, but it's other stuff too. Yeah.
Okay, now what am I looking
All right, so. You know what's deceiving about this? You see these two pictures?
Hi, how are you?
They're like in opposite directions. It took me 5 minutes to figure that out. This picture's looking from the street, and this other one's,
Looking
Looking
right.
up.
Well, it's
and out.
an aerial view, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like a
aerial.
satellite view.
Okay, and we got the,
Okay.
Another monsoon coming tomorrow night into Saturday,
yeah,
and then I bet you it's gonna be a big snowstorm next week.
reduced driveway and eliminated the guest parking, yeah.
Is that in the? I guess so. Good evening. Welcome to the Danvers Conservation Commission meeting for January 11th, 2024. Happy New Year's to everyone. We operate under the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 26 of the Town of Danvers General Bylaws, the Wetlands Protection Bylaw. After each applicant presents his or her request and the board has had time to ask questions and discuss the project, We will accept questions from the audience. Because this is a public meeting, it is required by law that you give your name and address before you speak. Although we may disagree on the issues raised, all persons present during this meeting are expected to be civil to all other meeting attendees. This includes members of the commission, staff, abutters, concerned citizens, and property owners, as well as project applicants. We also request that you confine your questions to the project and only as it pertains to the Wetlands Act. We cannot handle, nor do we have jurisdiction regarding such things as noise or traffic. All problems not related to the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Danvers Wetlands Protection Bylaw must be taken up with the other appropriate boards. Okay, our first order of business will be a roll call. Peter Wilson is present. Vanessa Curran.
Present.
Jonathan Garis. Mary Haight. No. Ann McGill.
Present.
And Michael Splain.
Yeah.
All right, so there's 4 of us, so that is enough for a quorum. The first item on our agenda is the certificate of compliance request for 13 Mead Street, DEP file number 14-1317. The applicant is Kimberly Seward. Is anyone that, are you Kim? Yes. Could you just give us a brief, at the microphone, just give us a brief overview of what your project was and what your status is now, please?
Sure. Kimberly Seward, 13 Mead Street. We tore down the existing home and garage at the property, built a new home, 2-story, 1-family home. The original plan included an attached garage. Due to the current interest rates, we have to pause on that for the moment. But when we did the home, we laid the foundation and everything for the garage. So all of the groundwork is complete, and we would like to close the permit today and then do all of the building of the garage in a second phase at a later time.
Okay, so all of the excavation and backfilling and landscaping, to whatever extent that is, has been done?
Everything is complete, and I have confirmed that with my builder.
Okay. And has someone been out to inspect the property?
Yes.
They have? Okay. Any questions?
So they've
Mike?
already, for staff, you've already had a 1-year extension, is
Yes.
that correct?
Yep.
So that's it. What is your plan on the foundation? Wait and come back at another time?
It's all done. It's complete. The foundation is complete.
It is?
Yep. There's pictures, and George has been out.
All right, that's all I had, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Ann, any
No,
questions?
no.
Vanessa? No? Okay. Someone make a motion?
I make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for 13 Mead Street, DEP file number 14-1317.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you're good to go. Thanks for coming back in a timely manner. You're welcome. Next up is a certificate of compliance request for 42 Brookside Ave, DEP file number 14-1359. The applicant is Hayden Warren.
How you doing? Hayden Warren, 42 Brookside Ave, and I built we did a 2 new family room, master bedroom, and a whole craftsman-style porch on the front of the house, and it is complete.
It's completed and
Yep.
was it as built according to plan?
Yes, all backfilled, all landscaped, everything's done.
And I know I saw it somewhere, but I'll ask you, when was this order of conditions issued?
I think it
January
21.
2021.
so it expires on the 24th, I believe.
Okay, so you're right up against the
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 2. Yeah, the 2.
Okay, I don't really have many questions if it's
No
everything's done to
questions,
plan.
no.
Mike, Ian, you all set?
Also.
Vanessa? Okay, someone make a motion?
I'll move that we issue a certificate of compliance for 42 Broadside Avenue, DEP file number 14-1359.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
As
okay,
Brookside
you're all
Ave,
set?
by the way.
I'm sorry?
Brookside.
Brookside Ave.
Right.
Said Broadside.
Brookside.
Thank you.
Next up is a notice of intent for 152 Endicott Street, DEP file number 14-1402. The applicant is Pete Doucette.
Good evening. For the
Hello.
record, it's Robert Clark from Allen & Major Associates. Pete was not able to be here in person. I believe he's logged in remotely. Greg Michelides, the owner's rep, logged in remotely. The wetland soil scientist, Mark Arnold, is logged in, and Jared Grondin from my office as well. So we've been in front of the board several times. We've got all good news. Since the last time we were here, we received a draft agreement with the abutter regarding Chalet Court. We received planning board approval on Tuesday night this past week, and we did send over a small presentation to refresh your memory. I don't know if Andrew would like to show that.
1 second.
And there was 4 outstanding items that Devin from Hancock brought up. She wanted to add a 4-foot fence with some signage along the rear of the parcel. We agreed to that. We do have Goddard here to talk about the Phragmites, because I think the commission may have some questions on the Phragmites for number 2. And the third item was to supply some outdoor seating and cigarette receptacles and trash receptacles in the rear of the parcel, and we're not opposed to that as well. We're actually
Are these
planning that.
items that were included in the special conditions? Do you
No,
know?
I don't think so. Was that in Devin's report to us?
Yeah, there was 4 outstanding items, I think, in between Georgia packing up and Devin was finishing up her review, and I see her online, so if she wants to weigh in on them, she can. But I also have Goddard here if you have questions specifically on the Phragmites. So.
Okay. Is this a,
Yeah, so we do have the presentation. Just to refresh, I think it's been about 3 months since we've been here,
at
and
least,
so if you want to just go to the next slide, as it shows, it's 152 Endicott. We do have a wetland buffer zone of 100 feet, the 50-foot, the 35. We have the wetland line, the bank. We have riverfront, the 100 and 200 foot. So we have multiple resources on this parcel of land. You can go to the next slide. So we did add these charts at the request of Devin as well. All of these charts show a reduction in the 35-foot wetland buffer zone, the 50, the 100, and the 100-foot riverfront, and the 200-foot riverfront. So these are all the existing impacts. That's 17,000 of the 35. We've got that down to 13. So that's a 26% reduction. In the 50-foot, we're at 23%. 100-foot wetland buffer zone, I'm at 17% reduction. Same with the riverfront. In the 100-foot zone, we're 89% reduction and a 31%. The last 2 charts that we added here show that it's 11% of the 39,000 square feet of the 35-foot no disturb and 13-foot reduction out of that 55,000.
all of those reductions were achieved by shrinking the parking area?
It was what we proposed originally. So, yes, it's removing the asphalt in the existing condition. That was
what's there
closer
now.
to the river than what we are proposing now today. Yep.
If I could,
So you want to go to the next?
just
yep.
quickly, all the reductions are the reductions in impervious? Is that what you're quoting?
Reduction
Are the
of
reductions in encroachment into the no disturb, no build?
yes, it was all pretty much paved right out to the
Was paid, so,
Probably
yeah
both.
yeah
so it's both?
yeah
Yeah, well,
yeah
that's a good thing.
yeah. You want to go to the next slide?
Sorry.
Wait. He's here, so.
So here's a slide of showing we are filling a portion of these.
Excuse me, just for one, we've got one member of the audience that
But don't
likes
we
to
finish?
see the
Oh.
presenter using a pointer, so I think that's what he's going to be asking for.
So there's 2,327 square feet of wetland filling for the access road. We are replicating, what's required is 3,491. We're providing 3,513 square feet. That's shown that location here. So it's really just to access the dry piece of land through Chalet Court. There was compensatory flood storage as well. There's a volume of 9,489 cubic feet, and we're increasing that volume. That's what was disturbed. We're increasing that to 11,153 cubic feet. So, yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, one of the issues was the closeness of the entrance into the old Denny's from the exit off of 128, and that was addressed, correct?
Yeah, that
And
access
there's no
point's
longer
being
issues with
closed.
no longer issues with the abutters on,
Correct. That's what part of the process that we went through with the planning board and the peer review, and that's all been resolved, and the planning board gave approval on Tuesday night.
good, thank
Yeah.
you.
So with that, we can go to the next slide. And then this shows, again, that's all restored riverfront area that was all pavement, the old pavement line.
Good job. Good job.
So that's 13,000, I believe the number, yeah, 13,000 square feet of degraded riverfront area that we restored back to a natural condition. That'll be a wetland seed mix that's going to be planted there and let grow back natural. So you want to go to the next slide. So these are just all of the different things that have happened. We filed an ORAD back in 2022 in July. Conservation Commission was filed in July 13, 2023. We did our site walk. We went through the planning board process, and the main point is that we received approval on Tuesday night. We're hoping to close this out and get approval tonight with the Conservation Commission. But again, Goddard's here. I know Devin's here. If you have any questions regarding the Phragmites, they are looking to do cut stem and some herbaceous directly into those stems to control the Phragmites. They're invasive species that, quite frankly, the roadway is going to be covering where those Phragmites are now. So, but there is a process that you have to go through to get rid of that plant because it's very aggressive.
Could you just go back to the overall site view, just to show us where the Phragmites that need to be removed are?
Yeah, if you go back another, maybe, okay, maybe I'd go forward because that wetland replication plan showed,
Which slide, I'm sorry?
keep going forward. Keep going to the, yeah, right there. So,
There we go.
the entrance is here. There's two large walls, and this is the wetland filling of these Phragmites in this location. This is the replication area. So, again, most of that is going to be the roadway, the culvert, and the riprap to convey stormwater that's coming in off-site from another parcel of land that's going to be discharging back to the swale along our property.
Are you saying the roadway eliminates the presence of the Phragmite? where-
It's going through that, yeah, it's going through that area where the Phragmites are, so, but we would go through a process of cutting them, and you also want to make sure you're wiping out that invasive species, so. So with that, I'll open up to any questions the board may have.
Okay, I'm just going to pass it along to Devin now, just if she can just comment on what her observations were and your responses to her comments.
Okay, great, thanks.
Good evening, excuse me. Good evening, commission members. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
I'm a little under the weather, so forgive my voice. But I did want to note that Georgia and I spoke before she left the commission, and we did go over and issue comments that were received from Allen Major and Associates on December 12th. I've received their responses, including Goddard's responses pertaining to the invasive species removal. And I believe that I am confident and all set with all of the comments that we've issued to date. And I feel as though the commission, with special conditions, of course, may be possible to approve an order of conditions this evening. I don't have anything outstanding on my end. You did all receive comments from August 21st, 2023. Those have all been answered and responded to appropriately. So again, I'm confident that everything's been handled.
Good, thank you. Okay, let me go around with members of the board for any specific questions. Mike?
No questions.
Ann?
Disposal of the Phragmites. Okay, we talked, I mean, we know we were gonna cut them down and put them in piles or whatever, but where are they going?
That's a good question. I'll defer to Mark on that. Mark, you're muted, but.
So this is Mark Arnold with Goddard Consulting. So when we've done Phragmites projects in the past, the seed bank is not as critical from the plant itself compared to the root structure. And so when it comes to treatment, we've done treatments where we just cut stem and we leave everything else in place. The other option is there is cuttings, you can take it to an incinerator. There are incinerators in the North Shore area that allow you to incinerate vegetation, and that would allow the plant to be destroyed.
Thank you.
Okay, that's
Yep.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vanessa, any questions?
I just have one question too about the Phragmites. So I was happy to see the cut stem treatment. I think that's a smart choice, and I know it's very labor intensive, but it shows that you're willing to be very cautious with the herbicide in this area. Is it just a one and done though, or because my understanding is that it might be upwards of like 90 to 95% effective to do a one cut stem, but then if there's still a little bit coming back, are you going to do a second pass at any point?
So this is a multi-phase treatment plan. You've got actually 3 phases of treatment, basically, that work through it. The first treatment will definitely be high success. We had a site this year with probably close to 90 to 95% success rate for the Phragmites removal in Sudbury. So the multi-year plan ensures that you capture anything that may get missed in that first pass, particularly because when you're dealing with dense vegetation, it's hard to always make sure you capture every single stem. So there's always a follow-up in the year after that, and then you can document survivability and go from there. And then if there's any other changes that have to occur, we'd come back before you with a modified request to do further management if it was necessary.
Great. And then, so how many years total do you anticipate at least monitoring this area?
So basically, it's a 3-year, basically, so two-year plan with the potential for 3. Basically, they have an early and a late 2024 treatment plan based on approval this year, and then you would have a 2025 follow-up as well, and that should be pretty successful. And again, we'd have monitoring to document eradication.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Additional questions, Peter?
And would you be the monitor? There's a monitor that needs to be hired to oversee this process?
So there's going to be kind of 2 roles here. The key role is going to be the licensed herbicide applicator. That's a person who's licensed by the state. So I'm not a licensed herbicide applicator. I'm just a wetland scientist and soil scientist. But there's a coordination between the wetland scientist and that herbicide applicator to ensure that they're being careful, that the areas are correctly identified, the feel where the wetlands are, to ensure that extra sensitivity is taken to the native species in the area. So there's kind of a joint effort between them and the licensed herbicide applicator to ensure that everything's treated properly and we follow the order of conditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
All set, Vanessa?
Yeah.
Is there any public comment or questions? Sir?
Are you
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Scott Cameron.
I don't think so. I'm not sure. I'm sorry?
Hi, good evening. For the record, my name is Scott Cameron with the Moore & Cameron Group, 66 Elm Street in Danvers. I'm here on behalf of Anna Mrs. Trust, who is the direct abutter, 160 and 180 Endicott Street. First off, I just wanted to pass along that we are very much in favor of the project. We come in to see you at a public meeting earlier on this fall. Since that time, the applicant, the Torrington team, Bob and his team, the other members of the team have stepped up to the table, and they have worked with my client. We have come to what we feel is a really good project. As you're aware, the success of this site also depends on a collaboration, redevelopment of a street coming into the site, and that interface with the existing retail properties that are along that. They have come to the table. I believe the planning board on Tuesday approved certain conditions in their permit that stitched that together, and I was hoping perhaps Mr. Henry could talk a little bit about that. My concern mainly being just to make sure that your order of conditions is in sync with the planning board decision, so that we don't have any conflicting conditions. I believe the agreement with Torrington and my client is close, although it's not quite finalized, but I do expect it to get there. But again, I wanted to pass along that we were very happy and pleased with the work that their team has put into this project, and also that of the town too, because I know there's been a lot of work on all sides of the table here. So, well done. That was it.
Does your agreement have any bearing on our jurisdiction?
It would, because it affects portions of the buffer zone as it comes into the site. Your buffer zone extends not too far into 180, but that end part. I don't know if the plan is there, but that end part.
So
as
what
it comes
needs
up.
to be resolved?
It's a private agreement with Torrington and my client for easements and access, and there's some collaboration between the owners to make sure that the roadway coming in, the access is all done harmoniously.
So that has no bearing on our jurisdiction then, it sounds like.
I have a question.
Okay, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah. Scott, you mentioned potential conflict between the planning board decision and what special conditions. Can you be specific about that?
I think Mr. Henry might be more appropriate to respond to that because you worked on the conditions for the planning board.
Yeah, and I apologize. Nothing that we're aware of is in conflict with what we recommend here and what happened Tuesday night. That said, I don't know if there's a specific. I'd have to get back to you
That's
all
why I
and
asked,
back to.
Yeah, it's more. I think
Cameron.
just I think that some securities were put in to ensure that the project was completed. If something starts or doesn't start, things aren't left in an unfinished condition. There things of that nature. Only because of that overlap between
Again,
the properties.
at a high level, I mean, I know we talked about this internally. I don't believe there's any conflict unless it's inadvertent and there's something specific. But that's the best I can offer you this evening.
Okay.
All right, that's the answer then. Yeah. All right. I just wanted to ask the applicant one more thing, because I don't understand the issue with the Phragmite. Is this involve using herbicides, or what is the stem cut process?
Yeah, so the stem cuts is they actually cut the plant material and they drip the herbicide within the stalk of.
Individually?
Yes, so that you're not doing broad brush spraying. So it's more
So that's,
environmentally friendly. Again, Mark's here, he can go in and elaborate on that a little bit more in depth, but what I understand, they cut the stems, they put the herbicide inside the stem, it kills the plant. They do 3 applications prior to going out and removing, because they're very intense.
Do they remove the root structure, or do they leave that in the ground?
Well, because we're going to be removing and putting a roadway in, it'll
so
be.
doesn't it all just get dug up anyway?
Yeah, but there's going to be ancillary kind of areas around the structures, but the main portion of this is going to be the roadway and the box culvert. But Mark, do you want to kind of go into?
quick-
Yeah, just
follow-up
to
question?
clarify too, so the Phragmites root structure is rather deep actually, and that's part of the challenge of doing anything actually manually when it comes to removal of Phragmites. So this is why an herbicide treatment is also valuable, because it takes the treatment all the way to the roots that go deep down underground. So and this also minimizes overall earth disturbance and disturbance of topsoil and everything else that's already there, because there's soils there that are still healthy. They're just impregnated with the Phragmites root, and so once those are killed, that allows you to plant other things in those areas. So that's kind of the reason why you would do that in that, right? It's a particularly difficult, invasive. To do any type of manual removal is a massive amount of excavation. The disturbance level is extremely high if you actually tried to go after them, and even then, you have a high success. There's a very high likely that it's still going to come back because of the nature of the root system.
Thank you.
Okay, let me just ask our in-house expert. Vanessa, do you have any comments on this procedure?
I think it sounds like a good plan.
It is. Okay, and this herbicide, does it have a half-life? Does it degrade over time, or how quickly does it degrade? No, we just don't want it, leaching off into other areas.
It does. I mean, we just did a Phragmites treatment, actually around a vernal pool for Phragmites. So it does have it does have a life, and eventually it does dissipate out, and doesn't have major ecological impacts to that. The herbicide applicator working for us in Sudbury is actually a professional wetland scientist as well. His name is Brian Collar, and from Ecological Land Management. So he's a well-reputable person in the North Shore area dealing with invasives. And everything was really well done. And so that's where this language came from, was a lot of just the methodologies that we've used there, we want to use here.
Okay. Where were we at? Vanessa?
I don't have any additional questions right now.
Is there any other public comment or questions? Mr. Bradstreet?
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. I understand the removal of the nasty weeds has to take place so that because they are invasive, and you're talking about using an herbicide. I've been at meetings where they've suggested using herbicides that are dangerous. Does this herbicide, as you said, come with a guarantee it will work and not contaminate?
We don't even know what the herbicide is, do we?
I do, because I
Huh?
read it. It was in the information.
Miss, can you talk into the mic, please, so we can hear you? Thank you.
You're using glyphosate, right? Oh, he's on mute.
What is the herbicide?
Sorry, the herbicide is a Roundup custom herbicide application. And again, it's a very targeted application.
This is standard in the industry?
It is for Phragmites treatment. Often, actually, they do foliar spraying for Phragmites. So this is a very targeted actual plan compared to what normally would be used for larger areas. So this is actually more expensive methodology, but it does result in a smaller use of herbicide, and that's why we proposed it.
This is the same Roundup that's involved
Oh,
with
please,
the
don't
class
say that.
action
Don't
suit?
use that Roundup thing.
He said
Please.
Roundup.
I'm not sure if I don't know if it's the exact one that has been in the news. Again, I mean, it's something that is effective to specifically these type of invasives, and that's why it's
See,
kind
when
of
we had these discussions earlier, I thought as a board we were against the herbicide. I know you, Vanessa, I know you like the method, but we're introducing an herbicide into a resource area. And I'm not sure I would prefer herbicide to a field of Phragmite. I mean, we once had a chairman here that said, "I'll take the Phragmite over the herbicide."
No, it's not Phragmites.
My opinion, as a member of the board, but again, I'm only one of four, but
Yeah.
my opinion is this is really the only option that there is. I think that they're really making an effort to try to use the minimum, because you can go out with like a backpack sprayer and just blast the
Yeah.
whole thing, which they're not doing. They're literally going to go cut one little thing and drip. So that's like extremely labor intensive.
Yeah.
It's going to cost them a lot of money to do it that way. But it's going to take a lot of time. Like you could go and blast it in a shorter period of time with the backpack, or you can do this for hours and hours and hours. So I think that they're making an effort to apply responsibly in the minimum amount possible. I don't think they really have, there's really no other good method of control. It's basically this or nothing.
And
If I
It's
if
like
I
a
may,
war on
I can
Phragmites.
also chime in too.
Devin,
You are looking at a wetland replication area and restoration. If you have Phragmites out there, you're at risk of those plants that they're going to propose. Excuse me, not to survive, to be outcompeted for territory, for the ecosystem, and for the environment. So, just another thing that the commission should take into consideration in regards to overlooking the invasive species removal. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, for my 2 cents, as long as this is a local application, and we're not, we're not spreading
Not sprayed.
herbicides, that's why I asked the shelf life of this product. And I'm presuming that this has been done before, so people know what they're doing. And I think the overall intent is the right intent. So as long as it's done right, it sounds like it's going to be, I would say, let's do it.
all right. All right, well, the board seems comfortable with it.
Okay, any other questions?
I'm listening, and my concern is not so much, they have a project they want to do. It's not my concern, as much as it amounts on callous, how much it costs them. I'm more concerned with Danvers and its surrounding areas, the conservation area. I certainly would like, as much as possible, a guarantee that what they're going to do is not going to damage Danvers's conservation area. I understand it's labor intensive. They're going to try to use what is the best product out there for making the application to kill this. I know if they try, to me it sounds like if they try to dig all the dirt up, they stand a chance of merely spreading this, whatever it's called. Again, I'm just more concerned with Danvers, not their project or how they do it. I'd like, if it's possible, some kind of a guarantee that if what they're doing doesn't work out, they will have to come back and do whatever else is necessary to finish the job so Danvers is protected. I mean, is that reasonable?
Yeah, that's covered in these special conditions.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all I'm asking.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, our first order of business then is to close the public hearing. So if someone can make a motion to that effect, please.
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing for 152 Endicott Street, DEP file number 14-1402.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, there are no waivers required for this project. So is there a consensus that we should move forward with this? Does anyone see any reason why we shouldn't?
No, I think we should.
No, ready? All right.
Okay, so if someone could make a motion to issue an order of conditions.
Can we walk through the special conditions first?
I was
We're
going to
gonna
touch
put
on
them
that.
up,
as
aren't we?
Okay.
Yeah.
Aaron?
Aaron, could you post those,
Yeah.
please?
Just so the applicant, you're aware of the special conditions, correct?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, forgive me. Is there a waiver? There should be waiver requests for work within the 35 and the 50, no?
For one of my notes here is saying that no
Does-
waivers are required because they are actually decreasing the amount of
requesting a
work done.
waiver?
Okay,
That's
just making sure.
that's up to the board. Everything's a decrease, but obviously you have to work in that buffer zone
you
to
still have to work
decrease.
there.
So if we need a waiver, then I would say grant the waiver for the 35 and the 50-foot.
Well,
No,
let's,
from what I'm reading here, the waiver's not required as the applicant is reducing the impervious in the 35 and 50s.
Okay.
The roadway crossing is considered a limited project, which is exempt from needing a waiver.
Right.
So no
Okay.
waivers are required.
well, let's hear from our expert again. Why is she asking for a waiver?
I think you're just asking for clarification.
Right, that's, yeah, she wanted clarification.
Are you satisfied now?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Okay, where were we? Okay,
right.
Mike is going to make a motion.
I'm going to make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 152 Endicott Street, DEP file number 14-1402, with a list of special conditions dated January 3rd, 2024, which has, and has been put on the record, was reviewed by the applicant and accepted by the applicant, correct?
Correct.
Correct. All right, that's the motion.
Okay, why don't, maybe we'll just do a quick summary of the special conditions. The first one was a performance bond needs to be posted by the applicants to cover
60,000, was it?
$60,000 that would
Yeah.
cover the cost if this didn't take, and it spells out in detail, you know, the timing of it all. The second is the invasive species removal, which we talked about, but I think as part of that, a special monitor needs to be hired. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's on the applicants. They pay for that, right? And then the third was the wetlands replication, and the gist of that is the replication area has to be started before the existing wetlands are changed, they're dug up. Is that correct?
Yes.
We'll have that
Now,
planted.
the road, you're going through a resource area, and you're going to replicate that prior to the,
Yeah, I think the point there is to make sure, a lot of times people wait to the end to do the wetland replication, but the fact that it's at the bottom of the wall, you have to do that area and then work your way back anyway. So there's a provision in there to do the wetland replication
Going
first.
forward, we always want the replication
Yeah.
done first.
Yeah.
We learned
And
a
we can
lesson that way.
we can still access the site from the existing curb cut off of Endicott to start the demolition, so we can, if we can't get in until we build the box culvert, we can still access that site.
Okay, and then it just goes into the soils and the application, and then all the different experts that have to put their 2 cents in. All right, Mike, so is that the motion?
that's the motion, incorporating the special conditions that we just had a little further discussion on.
Okay. Okay, motion's been made, is there a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good.
Great, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Where are we at now?
Have a good night, commission members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Hope you feel better.
Take care.
Next up, item number 4 is abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, 191 Old Burley Street, DEP file number 14-1408. The applicant is Flight Level Aviation. Is there anyone here to
Yeah.
represent them?
Peter Ogan here, representing Flight Level Aviation. Can you hear me?
Barely, could
Speak
you?
up, Peter.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
It's a little quiet.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with Hayes Engineering, and we represent Flight Level Aviation. And back in November, we filed an ANRAD, and we've, since that time in early December, went out and reviewed the wetland line. We made adjustments to about 4 flags on the northerly end of the line going uphill. They were reviewed by the town's consultant and our consultant, and we submitted a plan to Georgia that showed those, and it's my understanding that she had a letter from your consultant agreeing to those flags, and that this evening would be the opportunity for you to issue the ANRAD.
Okay, is that it, Peter?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
as I recall,
that's
at
the
our
only
last
thing-
meeting in early December, we continued this for the need to update some drawings. Does that sound right?
Yeah, the updated drawing was sent to Georgia, and
Bill Manuel.
she sent it to your consultant to agree with.
Right. Now, okay, I thought that work was done prior to the meeting. They just hadn't caught up with the drawings. Okay, so from hearing things, yourselves and our representative are agreeing on the wetlands delineation in that area.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Let me turn it over to board members for any other questions. Mike, do you have any questions?
No.
Ann, any questions?
No, thank you.
And Vanessa, any questions?
No, thanks.
Okay, are there any questions from the public? Sir?
Thank you. My name is Mark Zubarek, 9 Glendale Drive, Danvers, Massachusetts. I come up to this mic today to find out what does this submittal that was just discussed mean to the public?
Mean to the...
Public. To us, the residents.
Oh, the applicant.
Are you talking about the INRAD, sir?
I can't hear anything.
Well, I'll answer the question. It's just they're delineating the wetlands, and then they will have a proposed project based on their distances from those wetland boundaries.
So right now, all this means is that the delineation has been adjusted to the current conditions of the wetlands that we are encountering.
Yes.
There's
I would say
no
so.
project that has been proposed, is that
Not
correct?
yet.
Not yet.
I
This
would
happens a lot.
I would anticipate something's in the works.
Okay. My only question at this stage is I will reserve my comments when the project comes before the Conservation Commission. Does it have to go to the planning board or the zoning board because it is on Danvers property?
I can't answer that question. We have our jurisdiction. I'm not sure what the planning board's criteria is for this project.
All right, then let me ask it a different way. When the project gets proposed, what are your criteria for the project in regard to the conservation land? Because this whole thing is all about conservation and the expansion of the airport, the taxiways, and the main runways. And there's a fuel depot right against that same property that we were just talking about, and that has been in place for probably 10 years or so. And I'm just wondering, how is that going to be discussed and considered?
Aaron, do you have any comment on other boards?
Well, again, I think, Mr. Zubrick, you're welcome to come by the office and we can talk about whether or not the planning board will have site plan jurisdiction on this project. Off the top of my head, I know that they have not regulated this site in the past. That doesn't mean they won't in the future, but I'm not prepared to answer that at the moment tonight, only because we don't have a project yet. We know what they want to do, but we don't have an official filing beyond what they've filed here tonight, which was simply to delineate the resource area. So again, I'm happy to talk with you and the planning director to determine whether or not the project needs site plan approval. But again, I would assume when they come before the Conservation Commission with ultimately what we expect to be a hangar proposal, the commission will have its jurisdiction limited to the impacts of that, whatever that proposal entails, on the nearby wetland resource. I believe, anecdotally, we've been told this project, this version of this project, as opposed to the one that was proposed
3 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yep.
That project, we were told, needed multiple waivers in order to comply with the Conservation Commission regulations. We're under the impression that this one will not need those waivers and that they've pulled the project away from the wetland resource. Again, until we have something more formal from the applicant, I can't give you more specifics than that, but that's my understanding.
Well, thank you for the explanation. I will look forward to coming to the planning department. But what I wanted to get across to the Conservation Commission is that this project is related to the overall expansion of the airport. The west side of the airport currently looks into the living rooms and bedrooms of residents that live at Old Burley Street. Now, we've heard a lot of, we've discussed a lot of different issues that have been happening, but I don't know whether this is the proper agenda for your consideration, but I think it's more important for the planning department. You're doing your job, but I'm also looking at it from the resident standpoint of what impact these hangars will have when this project comes aboard. So thank you for listening, and I appreciate your comments, but I'm not going away, so thank you.
Okay, just keep in mind that our jurisdiction is very narrow.
Oh, I know
We
that.
just focus on the impact on the wetlands. I know that the airport's a political football, but like I say, our jurisdiction is pretty much making sure things adhere to these bylaws.
Well, the issue that I'm really considering with is the impact of the residents that are across the trees, maybe, but sometimes they may be in front of the grasses that are growing over there. So I'm glad that we went through the redelineation, and I've gone through this in different projects on my own when I was in the industry. So this is nothing new. So thank you very much for listening, and thank you for considering this, because this is very important. But I am going to pass it on to the planning department, because that's where it really belongs. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other comments, questions? Mr. Bradstreet?
Again, Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. I understand the project is important to the airport. My concern is any damage, as has been stated, to Danvers property. We all know, or we've heard, that whatever aviation fuels or whatever migrate. I'd like some kind of a guarantee that whatever needs to be put in place so this fuel or whatever doesn't end up in the groundwater or the ground coming into Danvers.
Okay, like I
Again,
are you all
it might
set,
have been
Bill?
discussed. I just want my concerns out there. I can't be the only one. I don't live there. I would like to think that the neighbors are concerned about this too. It might affect their quality of life. I'm more interested in protecting Danvers than this project. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just as an answer to that question or comment, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're just voting on the delineation of the wetland boundaries. Is that it for questions, comments? Okay, the first order of business here then would be to close the public hearing. So if someone can make a motion to that effect, please.
I make a motion that we close the public hearing for 191 Old Burley Street, DEP file number 14-1408.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, and are we in consensus that we will approve this ANRAD? And if we are, let's make a motion to that effect, please.
I make a motion that we issue an order of resource area delineation for 191 Old Burley Street, DEP file number 14-1408. And to be specific, we are confirming wetland flags A1R through A8, connecting to A10 through A12, and A13R through A18R is shown on a final plan dated December 22nd, 2023.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. Thank you. And we anticipate we'll
Thank
see
you
you
very
again sooner than later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is a notice of intent for 21 Tibbetts Ave, DEP file number 14-1409. At the request of the applicant, they've requested to continue to our January 25th meeting. So if someone can make a motion to continue the public hearing, please?
I make a motion to continue the public hearing for 21 Tibbetts Avenue, DEP file number 14-1409.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next up is notice of intent for 8 Tibbetts Avenue, DEP file number 14-1410. The applicants are Annalise and Kenneth Hill.
Is that this?
Oh, brought my wrinkled ones.
This is the revised plan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you want me to put up the revised
If we
site
had
plan that we got?
PCs, we wouldn't need all this paper.
Okay.
You get paid by the page?
He's got to deal with the paper company.
Are you ready?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Oh, good, okay, all right. So thank you all very much. And we had a site walk on Tuesday afternoon.
Bob, could you just identify yourself, please?
My name is Bob Griffin. I'm with Griffin Engineering of Beverly, Massachusetts. I'm here on behalf of the Hills, who I think you saw on the screen a moment ago, have also tuned in here. The Hills, as you may recall, are proposing to tear down the existing residence at 8 Tibbetts Avenue and replace it with a new single-family residence. We made a presentation to you in December, and then following our site walk, we made a few changes to the plan, which we sent to you yesterday, and I'm happy to describe now. I think I've got a little pointer that will work. Okay. So the changes were, first, we reduced the size of the patio at the rear of the house, so that's this patio back
Bob,
here.
just
Yeah.
to appease our audience members, could you use the
pointer,
please?
Oh, the, not the laser pointer, the mechanical pointer. No problem at all.
Hey, there's no audio on TV. You can't, there's no audio on TV.
No?
That's why I can't.
You have to lip read then.
So there's no audio.
You have to lip read.
Tony, thank you. Sorry.
Okay. So, not quite long enough for the pointer, so I'm going to walk a little bit. Is the mic with you, please?
That's right, yeah, if it doesn't work on TV.
Tough crowd.
We're going to charge him money.
Well, now I can do this. So the changes to the plan first involved reducing the size of the bluestone patio behind the house. This was reduced by approximately 120 square feet. I think it's about 1/3 the size that it used, 1/3 off the size that it used to be, so it's 2/3 of what it was previously. We added, as I discussed at the site walk, an 8-foot by 8-foot paver patio area here. So this is about 64 square feet. This got reduced by 120 square feet. So there's been a little reduction in the impacts in the 35-foot no disturb zone. We also had the effect of pushing the building further away from the shoreline as a result of this by about 5 or 6 feet. So I think we used to be about 41 feet. Now we're about 48 feet from the shoreline to the building at its closest point. There was a little discussion during the site walk about the guest parking space. You may recall we had some room over here to park a guest and then walk down the pathway up to the front door. So the guest space has been removed. So that reduced our amount of driveway a little bit. There was also a question at the last site walk as to how the proposed driveway compares to the current driveway. And you may recall I pointed out that the driveway begins here and it comes up to the existing house, which is about here. Under current conditions, there's about 920 square feet of driveway on the property, and under the proposed conditions, there's about 607 square feet of driveway on the property. So there's a pretty significant reduction in driveway at the site as a result of this plan. There was a request that the Hills be responsible for removing some shoreline debris here. There was a little bit of debris in the salt marsh, and so that'll be hand-picked out during construction, and that note was added to the plan. The materials on the driveway and the patio and this small sitting area by the water were changed a little bit to coordinate with the landscaping plan. So we previously had shown a hot top or bituminous concrete in this area. Now it's permeable paver materials, the same permeable paver materials here, and the patio is bluestone. So just, I would also remind us that we have a lot of stormwater management at the project. We're going to be picking up our roof runoff, these drains, the blue drains here, get tied into an underground infiltration chamber. There's no stormwater management on the property right now, so by getting all that roof runoff into the ground, we'll have a lot less runoff from the project when we're done. We also coordinated the landscaping beds a little bit because the landscaping plan came in after we had filed this plan originally, but you can see, you know, the beds and the shrubs have all been coordinated with the landscaping plan that we showed you last time. So that's tuned up. And then we adjusted the tables a little bit. There was some slight reduction in the work in the 0 to 35-foot range and in the 0 to 50-foot range, again, primarily because of the reduction in the size of the bluestone patio. In regards to the waiver issue that came up at the last hearing, we had included in our notice of intent the request for waivers allowing work in the 35-foot and the 50-foot zone. The reason for those waivers was that there is really no practicable alternative given the narrow shape of the lot, the small size of the lot. As it is, we've gone to the Zoning Board of Appeals and have permission to push the house closer to Tibbetts Avenue by quite a bit than what it was before. We've tried to tailor the site around the saving the 2 silver maple trees, as you know. And I think by doing all of our work sort of in the way that we've shown, we're not having any direct impacts on salt marsh or coastal beach or coastal bank. We're improving the natural capacity of the site to support wildlife habitat in the environment by our landscaping plan. As I have mentioned previously, we don't have a whole lot of lawn on this project. We have placement of some coastal grasses and salt-tolerant grasses. In fact, I'm reminded that even yesterday there was some salt water flowing over these properties at Tibbetts Avenues when we had high tides and some storm conditions. So all of the landscaping plants that have been chosen by the landscape architect are salt tolerant. And of course our stormwater improvements also provide some advantages to this project. So I think it's a very thoughtful project, very carefully designed, and we would look forward to your approval and issuance of an order of conditions.
As you mentioned, the flooding yesterday, we're going all the way into a new foundation on this project?
That's correct. There new foundation, crawl space, similar to the house that we saw under construction. I did get a picture of that flooding at its peak, and it came up to about elevation 8.2. The proposed garage here at 8 Tibbetts is 8.5, and I think the finished floor here on the house is 12.5. So quite a bit above those numbers, but you know, because Tibbetts Avenue is at the elevation it's at, it's about roughly elevation 7. To get vehicles in and out of that roadway, the garage sort of needs to be close to that elevation. So I think 8.5 is about as high as we can make that garage. But certainly the habitable space will be well above that elevation.
But the area floods?
It does flood, yes.
So it flooded yesterday.
Yeah.
So the garage is new? It's new footprint, correct?
Well, it's all one building. I mean, it's sort of there's a sort of a breezeway kind of connector in between the two, but it's all one building. And you're right, there's no garage there right now.
So that's going to be on what is now
lawn.
Bare ground. Lawn. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Let me let other members of the board ask any particular questions they might have. So Mike, any,
Just, how did you achieve the reduction in the driveway?
We eliminated the guest parking space.
Okay, so that when you talked about going from 900 square feet,
Well, the two different driveway layouts. The current driveway goes approximately 74 feet from the street to the existing house. Here, the garage is, 20 feet approximately, or actually, it's about 16 feet off of the lot line. So the cars aren't going as far off of Tibbetts as they were previously.
but that reduction is on your property, not the street.
That's correct. I'm just counting our property.
Yeah, and you're removing a shed?
Yes.
that hasn't changed, right?
That crummy shed right there gets torn down.
That's a plus.
I think so, too.
And the design, the whole foundation design calls for flow-through on the flooding.
Right, both the main house will have a crawl space with water flowing in, under or in the crawl space, and in the garage as well. So, if the water comes up to the 100-year flood elevation of 10 feet, you're going to have 1.5 feet of water in the garage, so.
Just the way it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
And how does that, what do they do about utilities, or if you have like a mini split and things like that? How do they?
The building code requires, and the FEMA regulations require, that all the mechanical equipment be elevated above the flood zone. And I think, we typically have enough warning so that the Hills will be able to move their vehicles to higher ground somewhere and probably walk back to their house. And but
I was coming back from Salem from court yesterday, and the bridge where the old Merritt gas station is, where you go over the bridge, that canal had overflowed and all the cars on the side were underwater.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't have any further questions.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Ann, any questions?
No. Are we going to talk about the pier?
That's the other.
That's, okay, that's a different, okay. No questions. Vanessa?
Vanessa, any questions?
I don't have any questions. I like the change on the driveway. I like the change to the permeable pavers and the removal of the spots, so
Thank you.
Was that patio on the seaward side of the house, is that existing?
No, that's a new feature.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, the board, any members of the public have any comments or questions?
No.
None? What is,
I can't hear what he's saying because the mic is in his hand, not in his hand, so he can talk into the mic. I'm having difficulty hearing you people talk. It's the sound system, the town needs to spend
Sit
some money
up
to
front.
Yeah, but Bill, you refuse to move up.
I'm sitting where I belong.
Sit up front.
maybe we could go back to the town hall too, it's a smaller room.
Yeah.
Okay, no comments other than Bill can't hear us. So why don't we close the public hearing first?
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, before we do that, could you just go back to the drawing? And just point out to us, Bob, please, where the 35 and 50-foot lines are again, please, because we need to vote on that.
So, 35 feet, 50 feet, and 100 feet over there.
Was the prior structure also in the 35-50 area?
It is, in fact, we're moving it further away from the resource areas with this design, but this is the end of the existing house. Here's the proposed patio, so you can see we're moving it further, closer to the street than currently exists.
Okay.
And we're getting rid of the shed.
So we just have that small triangle that's in the 35.
Well, no.
Right, so it's this
Right
portion,
there,
this
yep.
portion
Yeah,
of
right
the
there.
patio, and this little guy here.
But the patio's a
Right.
little different, because that's, okay. Okay,
How is
thanks.
the patio treated? That's not Is that something you need a waiver on to have that patio?
We're going
'Cause-
to disturb it, so yes.
Yeah, it clearly is work in the 35-foot zone, but we did count that towards the 10% calculation. and-
Good.
And as I mentioned, we dropped, I think, from 9.8 to 9.1% as a result of this revised design. So we're, I think, compliant with the impact calculation process.
They shrunk it.
Okay, getting back to closing the public hearing, someone can make a motion to that, please?
I make a motion that we close the public hearing for 8 Tibbetts Ave, DEP file number 14-1410.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, our next order of business is to vote on a waiver to permit work within the 35 and 50-foot buffer zones.
I'll make a motion that we grant a waiver to the applicant to permit work within the 35 and 50-foot no disturb, no build zone for 21 Tibbetts Ave, DEP file number 14-1409 in the areas as shown by the applicant on the plan that was submitted today.
I think there was a misstatement. You said 21 Tibbetts, and I think you mean 8 Tibbetts.
I mean 8, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I correct that by stating 8 Tibbetts. Thank you to the applicant.
Second.
And that's DEP file number 14-1410.
Okay, now
All
you
right,
can.
the motion has been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Next up is a motion
Very
to
much.
issue an order of conditions for 8 Tibbetts Ave. Before we do that, are there any special conditions that we need to include?
Oh, we just did 8 Tibbetts.
Stockpiling, do you want to talk about that, or removal of,
Well,
how are you going to keep debris out of the resource area?
We do have, erosion controls being placed around the entire project area. We also have a silt sack going in the catch basin in the street right in front of the property. I think some amount of stockpiling is going to happen around the perimeter of the house as they're constructing the foundation, but
You'll keep that out of the resource area.
I don't know that we can keep it out of the resource areas completely because the entire site is in a flood zone, so
Well,
it's
as much
already.
as you can.
So we can maximize the distance from the stockpiles to the salt marsh.
In a very robust erosion control.
Fair enough.
Okay, so someone can make a motion?
Oh, all right, I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 8 Tibbetts Avenue, DEP file number 14-1410, with the applicant using best practices regarding stockpiling, erosion control, and to the best of ability, keeping stockpiling out of the no build, no disturb zone to the extent possible. Okay with that?
Yes, thank you.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you all very
so
much.
Thank
You
you.
are good to go, and just a quick reminder that this order of conditions is good for 3 years, so we encourage you to be back in front of us in less than 3 years, and we'll close this out.
Thank
you.
Well, good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, now do we give all this paper back to Mr. Griffith?
We used to collect these for the schools for drawing, remember?
Okay, next up is a public hearing, the amendments to the wetlands bylaw regulations. We had hoped to vote on these at the last meeting, but Georgia was requested to present them to the River Committee. And from what I read somewhere in the memo, and Aaron, you can correct me if I'm wrong or add to it, that the River Committee had no objections to it.
Correct.
They thought it was a good process. Is there anything else we need to discuss? Nothing has changed since our last meeting. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct. And we had approved what we had before.
And is this a public hearing? It must be.
This isn't on our list,
It's
but
on the agenda that it is.
Okay, this is a public hearing though, right? So, does anyone on the board have any comments or questions going forward? Mike?
no.
No.
Ian? No?
No.
Vanessa? No? Okay, any public comments or questions? Hearing none. Okay, let's vote on this. We've beaten to death, too.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that the board adopt the updated language and amendments to the wetland bylaw regulations relative to residential docks and piers.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good job, everybody. Moving on to old or new business. The first order here is meeting minutes. First one for 10/12/2023. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes?
No.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, 10, 12? Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Okay, and everything's look good, Vanessa? All right, someone make a motion to accept those?
Can we do them together?
Yeah. 'cause we got-
We could, but I already brought up 10/12, so we'll just do it twice.
Okay, did you make a motion?
No, would you care to? Would you like me to?
You make a motion, I second. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes of the Danvers Conservation Commission from October 12th, 2023.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, has everyone reviewed the minutes from 10/26?
Yes.
Okay, someone, if there's any
Why am I not
discrepancies,
seeing these?
bring it forward now, otherwise we should vote to approve.
Why am I not seeing these?
The actual minutes?
Right. Well, I
Oh, you printed them out?
didn't I? I probably didn't.
You are old school, Ann.
I know, I'm terrible. Okay. Skip me. Don't talk.
Let's make a motion. If you read them, right?
Yes, I did. I read them all, but I didn't make copies of them. So, wait a minute, what's that? That's the performance bond. No.
Okay, we need a motion.
Okay, can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve our meeting minutes from October 26th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, one other thing before we move to adjourn. Aaron, could you just give us an update on Georgia's replacement or the process that's involved in getting her replaced?
Once we're done with our grieving period, we've been communicating, obviously, with the HR office since the end of the calendar year on getting this process started as quickly as possible. We're reviewing job descriptions. That's kind of standard protocol, just to make sure there's no, anything major that we need to change in the job description. And we're hoping, in the next week or two to have this out on the street. So there's a little bit of an internal process, but again, we're moving along, and hopefully it's expeditious and we can get someone more qualified than me to staff you. Although Brian Zakelli, the planning director, did not tell me this is my permanent job, so you might get somebody else. But I think again, the plan is to move as quickly as possible.
So will you be our staff contact?
I do not know that for right now. I guess I would say if you have questions, Emily Beatrice would be the person to contact. And then basically Brian and I are kind of tag teaming it at the moment.
Yeah.
But when I told him I thought it would be me, he said, let's not assume that yet. So we'll see where that goes.
But you'll be attending the meetings?
I don't know that. I'm the only one on staff right now who has any experience staffing Conservation Commission, so I assume it will be me going forward, but Brian wasn't ready to say that that's a definite.
So it'll be you or Brian, or?
Most likely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know Emily will keep us honest in the interim. She learned a lot from Georgia, so.
Okay, any other questions for Aaron? No?
No.
All right, if someone can make a motion, we'll adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night now.
There's the,
Okay, where's the current?
hey, Mark.
I would assume it's still live.